and it is a goal for you to retire early, not only should you be saving in a way that allows you to access dollars outside of retirement accounts, but you should also be able to make those catch-up contributions without struggling or straining your finances.
Peter, hello, good to see you. Welcome back to everyone. I absolutely love today's topic, 5 signs you are ready to retire early. As many as 54% of young or early retirees in Gen X report that they are considering unretiring. Their reasons for returning to work are both economic and emotional. That's according to a recent study from F&G Annuities and Life. So before you retire early, consider whether you meet these financial milestones. Let's tick through them. Number 1, you are debt-free. And Peter, you said this even includes our mortgage.
Yeah. I mean, retiring with confidence, it's all about cash flow.
Yeah.
And if we have debts that we have not paid off, not only does that indicate that maybe we're not in as strong a financial situation as we could be, but that's a cash flow suck on a month-to-month basis. Those payments to service debts, and mortgage being one of the largest one, probably takes a lot of our cash flow to dedicate to making those payments. That's money that we're going to have to withdraw from somewhere if we are not working. And I've got a report, Are You Ready to Retire? And it's not just like, oh, I'm so ready to retire. Everybody, probably could say I'm ready to retire mentally and emotionally. Financially, debt is one of those signals that says you're probably not as ready to retire financially as you need to be. So especially if you're considering retiring early, that needs to be something that we have taken care of. That's kind of one of those things that's going to indicate you might be in the financial readiness of being able to say, I could retire early if I wanted to. And kind of going back to that Gen X that a lot of them are considering going back to work, retirement is not for everyone. There are things that we get out of being involved and active, and we'll talk a little bit about that, I think, too.
Well, as we talk through this, Peter, everybody watching and listening will come to understand that your report for Are You Ready to Retire Early? The answer is no.
No, you're probably not. It's just, I've seen people try to do this, and I work the numbers, and look, retirement is expensive, and retirement is long, and retirement is in the future. So it's even more expensive than today. And in the optimized retirement plan that we put together for our clients, like, we project out inflation and market volatility and longevity and taxes. And when all of these things combined, the desire to want to quit working, maybe we need to look at rewiring rather than retiring, because there's a lot that could be said for continuing to work. I don't think that continuing to earn a paycheck is going to be bad for anyone's financial situation.
Right.
But sometimes stopping that activity is bad for our mental and emotional situation as well, especially at a young age. Like, again, we need to be involved and active and interactive and social. We're built for some kind of drive in life, purpose. And a lot of us, the work gives us purpose.
Right. And we will get into that in a second, but let's just stick with the financials for a second, because of course, if you are retiring early, you will not want to tap your retirement accounts yet. That would come with a penalty. So having multiple income sources becomes even more important.
Yeah. And there are ways to tap certain retirement assets before 59 and a half, but you don't want to. If it is your goal that I would like to retire early, first, you better start planning early for that. And you better save your money in such a way and position things in such a way that you have access to non-retirement accounts that do not come with unnecessary penalties and taxation for making those withdrawals, for accessing those dollars. Look, finance is a lot about the timeline. And if your timeline says, I want to be able to access these dollars before traditional retirement age, you better save and invest in such a way that you can access those dollars before traditional retirement age. And diversify your income sources. Have some passive income sources, real estate that generates you income, partnerships, businesses that generate you income. Income planning becomes very important, especially like when the paycheck stops at any age, but especially if there is a gap between whatever age you intend that to be and when you've got Social Security kicking on and when you're entitled to healthcare with Medicare benefits. And like, this is just such a big decision to make to retire early that you better have thought through very carefully all of the contingencies, shot bullets through that plan to see if it sticks and is Teflon and bulletproof, and even then reinforce it significantly.
Right. Next, of course, you will want very strong retirement savings, and prior to retiring, taking advantage of those catch-up contributions will certainly help.
Yeah, $31,000 a year as of 2025 can be put after the age of 50. If 50 or above, you can get $31,000 into that 401k. You have the extra $1,000 for your IRAs as well. If you can't afford to make those catch-up contributions and really supercharge the retirement savings, and by the way, do some non-qualified investing as well, that again is probably an indication that maybe we are not as prepared financially as we should be to consider retiring early. So yeah, we want to make sure that we really consider how to take advantage of those catch-up contributions. It is important. And again, 2025 up to 31,000, that's 23,500 in your standard regular 401k, and then an extra 7,500 for the catch-up contribution. And if you are 50 or above and it is a goal for you to retire early, not only should you be saving in a way that allows you to access dollars outside of retirement accounts, but you should also be able to make those catch-up contributions without struggling or straining your finances.
Right. All right. Sign number 4, you are ready to retire early. You have a plan and savings for healthcare. What are a few options to consider?
Well, continue working. That's one of them, right? There's not a lot of great options for healthcare outside of work. Paying privately is very expensive, and a lot of companies do help us offset some of those costs with group plans. But if you look and shop for individual plans, they do get significantly more expensive for reasonable healthcare. Now, there are some ways that you could address that. I mean, again, I say it sort of joking, but if we rewire and just do what we want to do at an employer that has healthcare covered for us, rather than what we have to do, right? If we change vocations rather than quit our job completely, maybe we can have some continued healthcare coverage benefits that way. HSA accounts. Also, if we have invested our money in such a way that can generate for us some capital gains, where we're in a non-qualified account, where we're preserving and protecting the principal as much as possible, but we're taking capital gains off the top, that is a very tax-effective strategy for generating income. In 2025, a married couple could generate $96,000 in capital gains. That's money that you've already paid tax on once, right? And then you invested it and it grew, and then you're pulling off the gains. Well, you could generate about $96,000 in capital gains and not pay any tax on it, and then go back and look at your healthcare costs and expenses and maybe get like a Affordable Care Act subsidized plan because you're not showing any income on the books. There are some interesting strategies there. I have seen people access their Roth IRAs before the traditional timeline. Like, usually you want to leave your Roths for last, but maybe to cover healthcare expenses, there's an exception there. I've seen people tap into home equity in order to cover a year or two of expenses. There are some ways, and that last one is, none of these are recommendations, but there are some interesting strategies. And healthcare, Erin, is usually one of the big hangups for, am I ready is it affordable for me to retire early?
And then last, and just as important, what you were just touching on before, because more than 40% of early retirees say they missed the challenge and stimulation of work in their daily lives. That's again, according to F&G Annuities. So before you retire early, know how you are going to create that challenge for yourself outside the workplace, including strong social connections, daily structure, and a sense of purpose.
Yeah. We talk about the fact that creating the freedom and the passion is the purpose for the plans that we put
Mhm.
together at Richon Planning. But you need freedom, purpose, and passion in your life as well. And for a lot of us, the passion is the job.
Yeah.
And so when we back away from that, when we quit that, we are not as motivated. We are not as driven. We are not as engaged. We don't have the social interaction, and the skills and the health and the body can fall off quickly as the mind is idle. And so again, we really need to, at any age, not just plan the finances, but plan what life looks like, what motivates us to get out of bed, what keeps us going. And I've mentioned this from time to time, but I really feel like the prevalence of depression in retirement is
Yeah.
actually under discussed and under addressed. And in large part, that the prevalence of that is due to the lack of engagement and interaction
Mhm.
and socialization and purpose. So we need to really kind of focus on, well, what is going to fill my time? What is going to motivate me? What
Yeah.
is going to keep me getting out of bed? And oh, by the way, how can I afford it all? Right. And
Yeah.
if we are planning on retiring early, that's a long time to plan out how we're going to do all of those things. So it takes special, very careful planning. There are definitely some things specifically that somebody planning on retiring early does differently than somebody planning on retiring at a more traditional age. But no matter what your goals and your timeline are, you need to have a plan to make sure it's doable and realistic. And that's why we offer to put together that optimized retirement plan at Richon Planning as a courtesy service, Erin.
Right. And, if somebody is considering retiring early, maybe the math doesn't add up. That doesn't mean that you keep on the same track, right, Peter? I mean, maybe they sit down with you, crunch the numbers, and you say, hey, Starbucks offers healthcare. You love coffee, or maybe it's being arranging flowers, but there might be some ways
Home
to
Depot.
work through it.
Home,
Yeah.
home, home, Home Depot, Aaron. That's every
Home,
guy's dream job is Home
there you
Depot.
go.
Yeah,
Right.
no,
And I know.
I have regularly gone through the Home Depot line, and a gentleman or two, in front of me is talking to the cashier, and they're like, "Oh, I'm just doing this for some spending cash, right?
Mhm.
And to get out of the house and be involved."
And social
Um,
connections.
yeah, it absolutely is, and I think that is definitely again, something that you should consider is, does retirement mean just sitting at home on the lazy boy, or do you rewire and continue to do what you want to do, not so much what you have to do?
Right.
And then what does that mean for you financially? And
Mhm.
again, putting all of this together is part of the planning process. And it's so important that income, investments, taxes, healthcare, and legacy are all in alignment. That's why we offer that optimized retirement plan. And that is a courtesy service, by the way. No cost, no obligation for listeners to the show, for viewers of the program, because we believe everyone deserves a plan that provides for them the confidence in their freedom, passion, and purpose in life, regardless of the stage that we retire.
And how can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, give us a call, 919-300-5886, 919-300-5886. You can reach me at Richon Planning, my team, Paige, Chris, Connor. We're here. We're looking forward to hearing from you. We will help make sure that you are in alignment with your goals in your plan, right? That we are aiming for the right target, that the risk is matching, that the timeline is matching, that the expectations are being met or exceeded. Those are the priorities for us as a team at Richon Planning. You will speak personally with me. And so I do encourage everyone, now get that plan put together. Give me a call. Your specific plan, personalized to you with long-term goals and visions, diversified strategies to make it work. And we can weigh those with you. 919-300-5886 or online, RichonPlanning.com. And there's a convenient button right at the top, schedule, and you can do a call or a in-person or virtual meeting right there from the website, RichonPlanning.com. It looks like Rich on planning.com.
Great. Peter, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Erin. Hey folks, Peter Richon here with Richon Planning. So glad that you are enjoying the podcast, Planning Matters Radio. You know, one of the tools that we've put out there that people really seem to appreciate and really are finding of value is at 919retired.com. It is your retirement tax bill calculator. If you've got any kind of retirement account, your tax deferred, 401k or IRA, this is the website, this is the resource where you can go, you can plug in your own numbers, your information, you can slide the tool calculator up and down for your tax rate or your amount of savings and see what your tax bill is likely to be if you default and defer to the IRS's plan versus what you could potentially bring that tax bill down to. A lot of times it is a very significant savings. So if you have not yet, go to the website 919retired.com, run your numbers on the retirement tax bill calculator.
This has been Planning Matters Radio.
The content of this radio show is provided for informational purposes only and is not a solicitation or recommendation of any investment strategy. You are encouraged to seek investment, tax, or legal advice from an independent professional advisor. Any investments and/or investment strategies mentioned involve risk, including the possible loss of principal. Advisory services offered through Brookzone Capital Management, a registered investment advisor.
Fiduciary duty extends solely to investment advisory advice and does not extend to other activities such as insurance or broker-dealer services. Advisory clients are charged a quarterly fee for assets under management, while insurance products pay a commission, which may result in a conflict of interest regarding compensation.